Alright, now CS 157 students, if you'll just remember my little mantra, an object is, or an object has, some data inside of it, and the subroutines, also known as methods, which touch that data. In Java, every class which describes an object, and what an object looks like, is going to have its own file. So we have two tabs up here. We have a main program tab, and we have a tab for our person object. Inside the person object, we see that we have two variables for the data that's inside of a person object. And we can have many person objects. We had two of them before with different names. And what we're going to do right now is we'll create a subroutine, also known as a method or a function. And let's create one which just returns last name comma first name as a single string. Notice the Java commenting style there. And when we define a method in Java, we have to say what it returns. And let's just call it L first. I forget what we called it before. L first. It doesn't have any parameters because it's going to get all of its data from inside the object. We're allowed to have other parameters, but we don't need it for this. Alright, so what are we going to return? Well, return what? Last name. Here it's even popping up. Last name plus, we want a comma and a space, first name. Okay? And that's it. Very simple method. All it does is return last name plus whatever plus first name. Alright? So you can push run sometimes just to make sure that you don't have any errors and it compiles. If you leave something out, typically you'll get compilation errors like this. Alright? A lot of times it'll show you, if you mouse over where it's complaining, a lot of times it'll show you what the error is. Alright, so that will make the problem go away. If I do something like this, then I get an error again, and it's complaining that I don't have a variable called first. Alright, so there's like that. Alright, happiness. So one of the things that NetBeans or Codiva is doing for you is showing you a lot of these errors as you type. And it's much better than JAS at pointing out where your errors are. So let's go back to P1. And let's just fix this so that instead of, or in addition to getting those out, we'll call the LFirst method. Okay? So here, a.lFirst is a way of saying take the A object and call this method, call this subroutine, and that subroutine is attached to that object with that data. And the same thing with B. Alright? So now we're going to print the first name, the last name, and what LFirst returns. And I think what we need to do is run it. So here was what we had before. First name, last name, and the LFirst result. First name, last name, and the LFirst result. Okay, so that's working. And now just go for the L1st result. Okay, so here was the person object. We had the L1st method. And it's working, right? Okay, so that wraps up this sequence of videos using Codiva, where we have a sequence of files, several files inside of one project, which together make one program. We have each file starts with this class thing. One of them is going to be our main file. It will have a method called main, which is the subroutine that is called to run the program. All right. The other one is a person file. It has a class called person. The name of the file has to be the same, person.java. And this says we're going to be able to make person objects. An object contains instance variables. An object contains data, which are in instance variables, and the methods which touch the data. And here we have L1st. An object also typically contains a constructor method, a constructor subroutine, which is what we call when we want to make a new version of the object. So back in the main program, here we declared variables to be of person type, just like you'd have a string type or an int type. And we made person objects. We called the constructor over here with the first name and the last name. We made two objects. We put those into the variables called A and B. And here we called the L1st method on the object to get the, to do whatever it did. And what it did was return those names. We also showed getting data out of objects by just, typing a first name and things like that. Okay? All right. Go ye, be happy. You can do the exact same thing in NetBeans as we did here. Right on.